Okay, 1 second.
No problem.
Okay, you're good. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd like to call the Town of Rocky Hill Planning and Zoning Commission a Zoom remote meeting of January 19, 2022 to order. My name is Dimple Desai, Chairman of the Commission. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the commissioners on their appointments to this commission and thank you for dedicating your time for this public service. Commissioners sitting for tonight are Commissioner Glico, Commissioner Thoman, myself, Commissioner Morhos, and Commissioner Robbins. Before I open the public hearing, as this is the new 2-year term for this commission, I'd like to get the formalities completed for the election of the officers for this commission. To that end, can I have a motion to add election of officers to our agenda under item 3?
Yes.
Public comment, please.
Mr. Chairman, if you may, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add under comment 3, the election of new officers.
Can I have second?
I'll second that.
Just a technicality, we haven't started the meeting yet. We should do the public hearing first, and then when we get to the meeting itself, we should do that. I'm just wondering.
I think we are just amending
we're
the
not-
agenda, right? So we opened up the meeting and I'm amending the agenda and then we'll go
Okay.
back to.
I mean,
to our
it's all
reg-
formality, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I just wanted to get that out and then, because we have to amend the agenda at some point, right, to add that in, so. So all in favor of adding the item?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you all. Now I'll just go through my spiel about, yes, Kim.
Oh, if I may, because we're recording and we have a visual of everybody, we either should do a roll call vote for votes or
Okay.
make sure people actually raise their hand so it's visible on the screen.
Okay.
That's all I would ask.
So all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Public speakers who have requested to speak during the public portion of the meeting or on any of the proposals for commission's action is already given Zoom remote meeting link to participate. IT staff will assist me in recognizing the public speaker as they are listed on the public speakers list. Because we are in a Zoom remote meeting, I'm going to go over some guidelines that I'd like everyone to follow so that we have a complete record of our meeting. There will be a queue of speakers. Speakers will be recognized by IT staff. All the speakers are requested to keep themselves muted until they are needed to participate. Speak clearly, state your name and address for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak. Please self-monitor your time. Having said that, if you wish to speak again later, please inform me before you are done. These are very important steps as we are participating remotely, so please respect this request. At this time, I would like to introduce the commission members and the staff present for this meeting. On my left, Commissioner Glico, Commissioner Thoman, Commissioner Hussey, and on my right, Commissioner Morhos, Commissioner Robbins, and Commissioner Brescia. We also have Kim Ritchie, Town Planner, and Eileen Knapp, Recording Secretary. For the benefit of commissioners, assume we are sitting in the council chambers. I will start recognizing commissioners from left and go to the right for comments. To avoid multiple conversation at the same time, I'll recognize commissioner when it is his or her turn to speak. Now let's go to our agenda item 1. Commissioner Thorman.
Yes, if I could, thank you. 1A, proposed zoning regulation amendment, Town of Rocky Hill, to modify the language of accessory apartments under 3.C.2, permitted by zoning permit in residential zones. Subsection 4, accessory apartment, an accessory apartment provided that A, the property shall reside on the premises. The amendment would add the following language to 4A as follows: and at least one accessory apartment can be allowed on each residential zoned property. 4B, the addition of an accessory apartment shall maintain the exterior appearance and style of the single-family dwelling. C, the principal unit and the accessory unit, this would replace the word shall with the word may. So it should read, the principal unit and the accessory unit may be connected by at least one operable door on a common wall, so that the floor area utilized for the accessory unit can be reintegrated into the principal unit in the future. And it would add the following language: or the accessory dwelling unit may be a detached accessory structure in compliance with section 3.D.2.1. Subsection 4D would read, the square footage of the accessory apartment unit, whether added to a single family dwelling unit or created internally within the same, shall not exceed 30% of the gross floor area of the single family dwelling until after construction. E, the accessory apartment shall not be metered separately for utilities, result in more than one additional dwelling per lot. And the following language is going to be stricken from subsection E, which is result in more than 2 bedrooms for an accessory dwelling unit. So to be clear, that provision that I just read will be stricken from subsection 4E. 4F, adequate off-street parking shall be provided in such a way so as to not create the appearance of a parking lot.
Thank you, Commissioner Thorman. Kim, do you want to give the background why we're making this change? Please. Thank you.
Yes. I have for the commission's information, and I know I've done this in the past, I've included Substitute House Bill 6107 in your packet. It's also known as Public Act 2129. And I know some of you may be sick of me hearing, sick of hearing about this from me, but the legislature this past session has put forth and passed several modifications to the state zoning enabling act, some of which pertains to the items for public hearing this evening. Page 1 and page 14 and 15 specifically in Public Act 2129 address accessory apartments. Later this evening, we'll be talking about parking changes based upon this new public act. So the legislation in trying to further fair housing, in trying to create additional housing opportunities for individuals, in trying to create more affordable housing, whether it be affordable as defined by statute or affordable in that it's more easily to obtain housing, has put forth regulations concerning accessory apartments. You'll see the differences, which Commissioner Thoman pointed out, complies with Public Act 2129. We're talking about, we have to prohibit the connection of an accessory apartment into a primary resident, whereas before we had it had to be connected to a primary resident by a doorway. We now have that option, meaning we can't prohibit it, but we're allowing it. We're being a little more permissive that they may be connected. We're also saying that it can be a detached unit, which is in compliance with Public Act 2129. and that you may have at least one. So you could technically have more than one accessory apartment per residentially zoned lot. You could have one attached to a single family home, and you can also have a detached accessory unit. This also lends itself to caregiver housing, temporary caregiver housing. For example, if you have a elderly parents, or if you have children that need care, you may have them live on your property but not live on your home per se. They could live in a detached accessory dwelling unit, or once again, they could be an attached unit. The Public Act does go on and state that it cannot exceed 30% of the gross floor area. That was our regulation to start with. We already had that in place. So that wasn't an issue. But in furthering housing opportunities in fair housing, and so as to not be discriminatory to, say, children or extended families, we are striking the language resulting in more than 2 bedrooms for an accessory dwelling unit. Because you technically, if you could meet the 30% of the gross floor area, you may have a 3-bedroom accessory dwelling unit, but we're giving the opportunity for additional bedrooms. The off-street parking we'll get into with our second regulation amendment that we'll be discussing this evening, but we're trying to comply with the regulations that have been promulgated by the state legislature under Public Act 2129. And I've included that in your packet so we can discuss some of the other things, later on in the meeting that will be coming down the way.
All right, thank you. With that background, that clears up why we are proposing these changes. I would like to open the meeting for public comments. If there is anyone in the public who would like to address, and I believe I was told we don't have anyone in the public who would like to address to the commission. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Thank you. So having no one in the public, I would like to open this up for the commissioners' comments, and I'll go on my left, Commissioner Glico.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I think it's pretty clear cut.
All right, Commissioner Thoman.
I do not have any comments or questions as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Hussey.
No comments at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Morales.
Nothing.
Thank you. Commissioner Robbins.
Just a question. The cross-reference to the section of the zoning regs, does building in accordance with section 3.2.d, does that cover the height limitations, the number of stories, the size of the building, and all of that?
Okay, the section 3D2.1 talks about the detached accessory dwellings, accessory buildings and structures, customary, subordinate, and incidental to the principal building are allowed by zoning permit, provided that no accessory building shall be located in any front yard. That's what that says.
Okay.
There is a section in Public Act 2129 that talks about you cannot have more restrictive setback requirements for accessory dwellings. If you do an accessory structure on a residentially zoned lot, you can, by our current regulations, be as close as 10 feet to any lot line. Obviously, there's constraints of easements. If you have any drainage easements, sewer easements, wetlands on the property, that would dictate otherwise. But our accessory structures can be as close as 10 feet to a lot line. And with the structures being only 30% of the gross floor area of the single family dwelling unit, that restricts the size also.
Yeah, I was just want to make sure that the structure doesn't become an anomaly to the building that's there. And it does say in the public act that the town can, or the municipality can impose height limitations, number of stories, size of the building, open space, and building location and use. And all I'm asking is just, we want to make sure that it's consistent with what's allowed in that zone anyways. I mean, if you had a 2-story limitation, you don't want a 3-story accessory apartment, or you don't, things like that. I just want to make sure we're covered there.
Okay.
Any other comments?
That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Brescia.
Nothing for me.
I have no comments either. I think these changes are proposed just to comply by the State Public Act number 21-29. Any further comments from anyone before we move on? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Yes.
A motion to close the public hearing?
All right, second.
Second.
Thank you. Public hearing closed. Now we move
We have to
on.
vote.
Oh, sorry. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to our agenda item 2. Commissioner Thurman.
Agenda item, you mean 1B, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, if I can read this into the record. Item 1B, proposed zoning regulation amendment, Town of Rocky Hill, to modify the language for parking space requirements. 7.B.2.1.2, residential related uses. Shall read under the, there's a, I guess you will card, a part under permissible uses, use A, single family dwellings. The minimum spaces for that would be 2.0 spaces. B, multifamily dwellings. The language would be changed from two spaces per dwelling unit. The language would now read not to exceed 1 space per studio or 1 bedroom unit, or 2 spaces per 2 or more bedroom units. C, housing for the elderly. The current language is 1.25 spaces per living unit. That would be deleted in favor of not to exceed, that would be deleted in favor of not to exceed 1 space per 1 bedroom unit, or 2 spaces per 2 or more bedroom units. That language would be added to the rest of the sentence, which will be retained, plus 1 space per employee on the largest shift. D, assisted living facility. 0.60 spaces per living unit is the current language. Adding to the current language in that would be the following: not to exceed 1 space per unit. E, active adult housing. Currently the language is 2 spaces per dwelling unit. That would be deleted and replaced with the following: not to exceed 1 space per 1 bedroom unit, 2 spaces per 2 or more bedroom units. F, customary home operations, 2 spaces in addition to residence requirement. G, accessory apartment, 2 spaces in addition to residence requirement. That is it for 1B.
Thank you, Commissioner Thurman. Kim, do you want to give the background?
Thank you. Once again, I would liken back to Public Act 2129. And it's clear that they want to reduce parking spaces. And it's coming direct out of the text almost. Page 11, which is in your packet. talks about the regulation shall prohibit requiring more than one space for each studio or one bedroom dwelling unit, or more than 2 parking spaces for each dwelling unit with 2 or more bedrooms, unless we opt out of that, which we have not done so. And I know the commission has, through the years, modified the regulations to actually reduce parking in keeping with current statistics, as well as embracing shared parking when we can, and having applicants try to reduce the amount of impervious area. So this is once again keeping in concert with the new legislation put forth by the state under Public 2129.
Thank you. I would like to open the comment period for the, for the public. Is there anyone in the public who would like to address to the commission on this proposed regulation amendment? And I think I'm told we don't have anyone who has requested. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. I'll open it up for the commissioners. So going on my left, Commissioner Aglico.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Thoman.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hussey.
No comment, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner Marhos.
Nothing.
Thank you. Commissioner Robbins.
Just a question, assisted living, we got 6.6 spaces per living unit. Aren't assisted living facilities also occupied by staff? Do we have staff parking covered on that one? Or or would that cover it? Or does 6/10 of a space per unit cover staff parking?
The majority of individuals in an assisted living facility do not have, at least the history in Rocky Hill doesn't pan out. They do not have vehicles. There are some folks in assisted living facilities that do have vehicles,
Okay.
but the majority do not.
And then the other question I had is for accessory apartment, we have 2 spaces in addition to the residence. But just before we had, shouldn't whatever that requirement is align with the number of bedrooms? Or should it?
Well, keep in mind that's also it's not necessarily, well, it could be considered a multifamily property, but that can be converted. So, I mean, that's something we can certainly take a look at.
I mean, the original unit already has
because
parking.
keep in mind, you're not creating a parking lot appearance with an accessory apartment in a single family residential zone, whereas you would have a parking lot appearance for an assisted living or a multifamily development. But with a single family zoned lot, you wouldn't be creating an area where you actually stripe out spaces. So you would have to have a driveway that would accommodate enough vehicles.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's a different.
a big enough driveway to
different
have,
environment, yes.
keep the cars off the street. Okay, I'll just leave that alone. Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Resha.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any comments either. We are just trying to comply with the State Public Act number 21-29. Before we move on, any other comments from any commissioners? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please?
Motion to close public hearing.
Yeah, you got cut. It was.
Oh, motion to close the public hearing. Sorry.
Thank you. Can I have second?
Second.
Thank you. We have motion and the second. All in favor of the motion to close the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes 5-0. Now we'll move on to our, now we'll open up our regular meeting. Going to public comment, we have added the in the agenda, the election of the officers. So can I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I could I make a motion to nominate Dimple Desai as chair?
Can I have a second?
You second it.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Can I have another motion?
Mr. Chairman, if I could I make a motion to nominate Victor Zarelli as vice chair?
Can I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Can I have the third motion?
Mr. Chairman, if I could make a motion to nominate Giuseppe Aglico as secretary?
I have a motion. I'll second the motion. All in
Second.
favor of, okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item 4, the consent agenda. Can I have a motion of approval of consent agenda?
I just want to state before you do, the minutes are not here. We do have the actions, but not the minutes.
So motion to approve the actions from January 5th, 2022. Can I have a motion?
A motion, there we go. Motion to approve the actions from January 5th, 2002.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Second it.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention?
I abstain.
Thank you. So for the motion, 1 abstain. Agenda item 5, agenda items 5A. Can I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I could make a motion to approve the proposed, under 5A, proposed zoning regulation amendment, Town of Rock Hill, to modify the language for accessory apartments. See item 2A.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with respect to agenda item 5B, I make a motion to approve proposed zoning regulation amendment, Town of Rocky Hill, to modify the language for parking space requirements. See item 2B.
All
Second.
right. I just have one clarification. I think I should have picked up on the other one. I think it says see item 2A. That should be 1A, right? And 1B.
Correct. I missed one.
Yes, yep.
So I just want to make that correction, so. So I think we have a motion and a seconder with that correction. All in favor of the motion to approve?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Any other business? Item A, zoning enforcement update.
With respect to zoning enforcement, we've been receiving a lot of complaints lately on commercial vehicles. Commercial vehicles actually parked on the street. The commission may recall that some years back, the town council modified the ordinance on overnight parking on town roadways. At the time, there was an ordinance that prohibited parking overnight on town streets. When they were proposing this modification, in our department with respect to commercial vehicles, we knew that what would happen is if you're not allowed to park your commercial vehicle on your private property unless you either screen it or if it is above the threshold as defined in our regulations, you come before planning and zoning for special permits. We thought we'd find a lot of commercial vehicles in the roadways, which we have now. And we're getting a lot more complaints in the past 2 days. As a matter of fact, we've gotten several complaints of commercial vehicles on town roadways. It not only impedes sight distance for some people, depending on where it's parked on the road, it may block driveways. It may impede emergency vehicles from accessing fires or medical calls, what have you. So there are some concerns we've had through the years, but alas, the parking ordinance has been changed so people can park overnight on town roadways. Obviously, if there's a parking ban due to heavy snow, which we haven't had heavy snow right now, but if there's a parking ban, then you cannot park on town roadways. So we're seeing that again, and I think it may behoove the planning and zoning department and staff to write to the town manager to once again say that it's been an uptick in these types of complaints. And I don't know if the town council would consider modifying that ordinance, but we oftentimes get chastised in our department because we can't enforce commercial vehicles parking on town roads. Any commercial vehicle, any vehicle, as long as it's registered, can certainly park on a town road. And even if it's not registered, that's not a zoning matter, that would be a police matter. So that's what we're seeing an uptick in. We're also seeing an uptick in blight complaints, which I know is not under our zoning regulations, but we in zoning enforcement also take care of the blight ordinance and housing code standards. So, but we're seeing an uptick in blight complaints as well. If you have any specific questions or concerns with zoning enforcement, you can certainly reach out and give our office a call. You can either contact me at 258-2761, or you can contact Dave Pomberg at 258-7675.
Thank you. I'll just ask commissioners if you guys have any concerns or any comments or while we are at it.
I have a comment or a
Yep.
question. So when the town changed over to you can park on the street anytime overnight, what was the push behind that? Was there something behind that to change that?
I don't know if there was a, I don't know if there was
I remember the meeting when that was done in the discussion. What was said at the meeting was that there were so few violations that they didn't think the ordinance was necessary. But yeah, I can't believe that was the rationale behind changing the ordinance, because if there was so few violations, the ordinance was working, and not that it wasn't necessary because there were so few. It's kind of like reverse logic. Let me forgot to put this on. In fact, I've seen a lot more cars parked on the street now since the ordinance was changed than we used to see years ago. And I've been thinking about going to a town council meeting one of these days and suggesting that they reconsider that, because it's becoming a nuisance. I mean, you see a dark car on a dark street at 11 o'clock at night, you're not expecting a car to be there. So anyhow, the logic, get back to your question, the logic was there were so few violations that they didn't think it was necessary, which to me, it means that it was working.
Thank you for that.
Commissioner Tolman?
Yeah, to add to that, I do remember this. I think this took place approximately about 10 years ago. We amended the ordinance. I wasn't a member of the commission at the time, but I followed it. I understood there was two issues of course, I don't know if that's the case today, but one issue was enforcement in terms of police enforcement, knowing that at a certain point overnight, when to monitor it, when to write the ticket, whether that person was an overnight guest or the cars were parked there improperly against the ordinance, or whether somebody was, the lights are on in the house and they were just staying up late, somebody was visiting. That I understood the enforcement was sort of questionable in that regard. And secondly, I understood that there's a specific issue to Commissioner Mordor's point, actually the opposite. I had understood that there was a couple of individuals that were using it sort of as a punitive measure to call each other, call the police on each other for overnight parking at certain point in the night, to the point where it ended up becoming the Hatfields and McCoys, if you will. But I'm in favor of revisiting it for not just because of the commercial vehicle issue, but also because of I think by having that, it makes having the ordinance where the vehicles are off street, it helps with enforcement of or patrols with the police for a criminal element. If they don't see any vehicles right now, if they see vehicles parked, as you indicated, in a dark street, a dark car, and right now they have no cause to really question it. But if they see it at 3, 4 in the morning, when we have an ordinance saying there is no overnight parking, it might be investigated further, and maybe that could help out with some of these petty thefts or car thefts that were going on around town. Something.
Yeah. But the bottom line, this isn't a zoning issue anyway. It's more of a police enforcement issue. It's not a zoning violation on the street. So, I mean, it's a point of information for us, but it's not part of our authority.
Right. And I think, I mean, at least by keeping track of, what complaints they're getting, maybe, as Ellen, Commissioner Mahose was saying, going to
You can call me Alan.
council and just, recommending that, hey, can we change that ordinance? So I think that will be good backup. Any other comments? Seeing none, we move on to item 6B. Any minor modifications?
We have none.
Thank you. C, Plan Implementation Committee update.
We need to schedule a meeting.
Yep, I think, yes. And then have a guest, I think, who wants to
Yes.
present something at the meeting. Any legislation update?
I do have for the commission's information, once again, I know you've received this a few times, Public Act 2129. And we have covered some of the items in this Public Act just this evening. Others that we have to deal with, which is one is a substantial one, and that's character, looking at community character versus looking at site character and physical characteristics of a site versus town character. The Public Act does go into some great detail as to what zoning regulations shall not do. And there's certain things we cannot impose certain conditions on manufactured homes or mobile manufactured homes, manufactured home parks. And we do allow them by emergency use right now. We did cover things for today's hearing. We cannot put a percentage cap on the number of multifamily units in a town. And I know that people have stated at recent hearings that we've done multiple multifamily housing developments in the town of Rocky Hill, but we cannot put a percentage or a number cap on that under this public act. That's prohibited. One of the big things coming up that will directly impact each and every one of you, and I'm quite pleased by this, is training. It is mandatory training. There is on page 18 of the Public Act, it goes into some detail, and there's an actual, there's something else attached to this at the end in communications that talks about some of the opportunities that will be available to you that you must attend. Some may be put on by our town attorneys. Some may be put on by Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, Connecticut Association of Zoning Enforcement Officials, Connecticut Planning Association. The Connecticut Bar has an awesome program that I know some of you have attended. I've attended it a few times. Typically, I know it's been held at Eastern State University. It's also been held at Wesleyan. It may be on a weekend, but it's an all-day event. It does go into a lot of the legal things that we as staff don't really cover, but it's worthwhile. Hot button topics, affordable housing, basic things such as plan review. Not everybody is used to reading plans, and I know you all have been on commissions for a while now, so you might need that, not need that training, but we may find other things that are more appropriate depending on what the commission's doing at the time. But there are certain things that are mandated, and you will be required starting, I think it's January of 2023, to be doing this, but they actually have some things listed for this year. So when the opportunity arises, we will be putting the information out to you. And I have to, at the end of everything, report back to the state that you've done your job. So we will be doing that. So I think it's a good opportunity to learn. They have some courses at UConn also. These can be done remotely. Many of them can, and I would imagine that's the way they're being done now. But I look forward to that. I know I've tried to encourage members to go, and I think those that have participated, it's appreciated. The town appreciates it also. So feel free to go through that act.
Yeah, I think so. What we'll do is maybe put together a calendar of training, so commission members can pick and choose and do the training, because this is a public act and it's a statutory requirement. So we have to meet. I don't know what happens if a commissioner member doesn't meet the requirement, but we'll cross the bridge at that time. But that's I think it would be good that we put together and send it out to commissioners so that we can just pick and choose where we want to go and how we want to get it trained and stuff. So,
and I don't think there'll be anybody saying no. So that's good.
Yep. No, I think everybody's nodding. So everybody's nodding and yes, that's good. Any other comments from the commissioners on this issue or anything else we discussed?
I just want to comment that I didn't receive anything for this meeting this month. And unfortunately, last month I received it at 2:45 the day before the January meeting. I mean, the December meeting. I don't know what's going on, but.
Yeah, I think there was no package sent out. I think we got it by email, and I believe it was because of the nomination that happened yesterday at the council meeting. Usually staff will get a day or two in the middle to address, and send out to all the new appointees. So I think probably that might be an issue, or that because of that, but I'll let Kim address if that's not correct.
That's, I knew that there were going to be appointments last evening, but it's up to the council who they pick and choose. I was almost certain that the people that I were aware was going to be on the commission would be, but that's not up for me to say. So we have this problem every time there's an appointment, every time there's a change and terms are up. So this type of situation doesn't happen often. And based upon schedules, we could not get a physical packet out to people unless they were going to stop by the town hall, and then we saw how to make copies. What happened in December, I apologize for that. I don't know what happened in December. I get the packets across the hallway, and I try to do that at least a week in advance. When they can get someone to go deliver packets, they will do so. So I apologize, Alan, that it got to you late. We have been doing hard copy packets. If anybody wants their packet electronically, by all means, let us know, as we have to put them online also. So I can certainly send them out electronically, or those that want packets, in hard copy form, we will get them out to you. And typically it would be a week in advance. It could be at Thursday, the week before. We try to have it to you so you have the weekend to review them. It's nice to see when people open their packets before they come to the meeting. That's appreciated. Also, at least they're prepared for the material at hand. The new members that we have on the commission, and I know Sean Hussey has been a commission member before, but I will be sending out zoning regs, plan of conservation development in hard copies to you both, and some subdivision regs. I will also be sending a welcome letter also with our contact information and business cards, and feel free to come in and make an appointment and sit down with us if you'd like. The bylaws for the commission will be discussed at the next meeting, because typically what happens is the first regular meeting after appointments, you have election of officers and bylaws. But we have to get the agenda out to the commission and out to the town clerk prior to the day before the meeting. So we had no time to modify the agenda because it's not an emergency matter. So this is a kind of an extenuating circumstance. I know some years when we have appointment of new members, they go as late as February when they appoint new members. So sometimes commission's terms have been extended just by virtue of the fact that council hasn't appointed anybody. So, but we will try to get packets out in hard copy to members. As I said, if you want it electronically, let me know. We certainly can accommodate. And for the two new members, we'll be getting hard copy materials out to both of you.
All right, thank you, Kim. Any other comments? I see Alan unmuted, so I don't know if.
No, I just wanted to be prepared to vote to adjourn.
Okay. All right. I will go on to agenda item 7, communications.
We do have an article that I found very interesting talking about the hot real estate market for industrial and warehouse development. So I find that to be very interesting. And then we do have a bill.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Here's my agenda. All right. Item A, approved bills. So, Kim said we have a bill.
We do have a bill for village district review as it relates to 2418 Main Street from Planometrics, Glenn Schalder, the consultant, our village district consultant. The bill amount is $1,350. That's 1350.
All right. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the bill.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of motion approving the bill? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. And congratulations again.
Good job.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
care.
Thank you. Take care.